Howdy, everybody. So this one that I'm going to talk about today is extremely close to my heart, and I can explain that in a couple different reasons. One being I have a half-sleeve tattoo of one of their albums, and I have a painting of another one of their album covers that I did right here behind me. Apologies for the shitty audio, but I realized when I was editing this that it's a little bit confusing. What I painted behind me is a different album. That album is called The Art of Drowning. The album that I'm talking about today is called Answer That and Stay Fashionable, which is their debut album. So I'm probably overthinking this, but I didn't want any confusion. So that's that. Anyway, thanks again, and back to your regularly scheduled program of me. And that is the debut album from AFI called Answer That and Stay Fashionable. So this era, talking about waves again, this is what would be considered the, I guess, fourth wave of punk, which took place in the mid-90s, I believe, through the late 90s. I want to say like 94 to 99. I don't know who said this, but I saw it in passing somewhere, and it was that our musical memories are the strongest when we're about 13 to 15 years old. That's the music that kind of is almost like tattooed to your brain. Unless you're me, and it all is.
That's my credo. No regrets.
Mm-hmm. I can definitely speak for myself in saying that the music that I was into when I was an adolescent and into my early to mid-teenage years is the stuff that is probably the most transformative for me. But who we're talking about today is, again, AFI and their first full-length album, Answer That and Stay Fashionable. This album came out in 1995. This was after, I believe, 3 EPs, one being a live EP. Some of those tracks from those EPs made it onto the first and second album. Some of them did not, and there's reasons for that. And I would say for me, I have a specific nerddom, whatever the word. Is that a real word?
No, man. Shit, no, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that, man.
I don't know if it is. Probably not. When it comes to AFI, and I have a lot of opinions about what has happened to them over the years. Spoiler, it's not great. But let's start at the beginning, and we are going to talk about the album art, which I will show you right here. This is a takeoff on the, 1993 Tarantino film, Reservoir Dogs, with members of the band being dressed and kind of positioned like they are, I think, on the poster for Reservoir Dogs. I haven't seen that poster in a long time. I think it's similar. I should probably look it up. Too late now. I'm doing this. And if you look at the 4 of them, there's only 2 of those members that are still in the band. The ones in the middle, that would be the lead singer, Davey Havok, and the drummer, Adam Carson. The other 2 guys flanking them at the front and the back, that would be Jeff, I forget his last name, and Mark. I think that they were around for the first album, the EPs obviously before this album, and then I believe the next album. And if you ask me, getting rid of them and moving on to the current lineup, which is Davey, Adam, Hunter Bergen, and Jade Puget, was a bit of a mistake. Hopefully you guys don't see this, because if we ever meet each other, it's going to be really fucking awkward. It's going to be awkward regardless, because I'm kind of an awkward person, but it'll be extra awkward if you see that I said this. And I mean it in the best possible way. And the way that I mean it is that this era of AFI, which I'll lovingly refer to as this kind of garage, bratty, hardcore, skate punkish kind of vibe that they had going at that time. All 4 of them are super talented musicians. But I think that Hunter and Jade were better musicians than Jeff and Mark. But I do think there's a good reason why they moved on from Mark and from Jeff and got together with Hunter and with Jade, is that their sound was kind of evolving and going in a direction that needed players that were a little bit more skilled or had a different skill set and could do things that were outside of the realm of this kind of, again, garage, skate punk, hardcore punk kind of thing. And that's something that Hunter and Jade were able to do. I think anyone that's ever played in the band is incredibly talented in my eyes. I will be eternally grateful to the original lineup of the band for just giving me some of my favorite songs of all time. So I want to talk about the first few EPs that came out. On the first EP, Dork, there's a song on there called NyQuil that ended up on Answer That and Stay Fashionable. The second EP was one called Behind the Times, came out in 1993 as well, with 3 absolute fucking bangers on it. It's got Rolling Balls, Who Said You Could Touch Me, and High School Football Hero. High School Football Hero also landing on the first full length. Rolling Balls is one of my favorite songs of theirs of all time, but yeah, lyrically it's troublesome. So didn't really go anywhere. I also very much love Who Said You Can Touch Me. Toward the end of the song, I think it's the very last lyrics of the song, Davey says, "Who said you could touch me anyway? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8." You know, and then that's the end of the song. And counting to 8, that's big time. Usually it's just 4. The next EP, which was a live EP, is called Eddie's Picnic's All Wet. Rizzo in the Box is from that. And finally, there's one called Fly in the Ointment, and that has Open Your Eyes and a song called Cruise Control. Another kind of troublesome song, but that's on the second album. Now, what's also kind of interesting is that at this time, the AFI stood for Anthems for Insubordinates. Now, those of you who are kind of recent fans of AFI maybe only know them from the last 20 years, from Sing the Sorrow maybe forward, would say, oh, well, AFI stands for A Fire Inside. Well, that came much later, boys and girls. First was Anthems for Insubordinates. Then that was changed to Asking for It, which is personally my favorite name for the band. I wish they had kept that. I think it's just so fucking cool and punk rock, and I just love it. But no, you gotta be an adult, right? You gotta grow up, and you gotta be mature, unless you're me. Yeah, so then they went to A Fire Inside, which makes no fucking sense because you don't abbreviate the A. Okay, it would just be FI. The band would go from being AFI to just FI because you don't. A is not A. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Smart ass motherfucker.
Obviously, feel free, internet worlds, commenters, to correct me, but I don't believe that they have played anything off of the first album live in probably over 20 years. I'd say maybe 2000 was the last time, 2001. I've seen them probably 15, 20 times, and I've never seen anything off of the first album. I'd say over the past 5 years, I've seen some stuff off of the second album, 1 or 2 songs, but nothing off the first album. And I think that there are probably a number of reasons for that. I would say, again, lyrically, I mentioned the content. Some of it is just not cool, frankly, to say. And I think that a bunch of guys in their 40s don't necessarily want to rehash things that they were saying and thinking when they were 15 years old. I can definitely agree with that. I don't think that any of us want to relive those days necessarily.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
And I think also for Hunter and for Jade, the fact that they weren't in the band at that point, yeah, it's probably not stuff that they have any kind of emotional connection to, and they probably are just like, I don't give a shit about playing this stuff because I didn't have any part in writing it or being a part of it when it was conceived of, so who fucking cares? Now, I know that they don't consider themselves a punk band any longer. I don't think that they've considered themselves a punk band in a very long time, which is unfortunate because I think they're an incredible punk band. Whatever they would consider themselves now, I don't even know, alternative radio rock. I don't know what to call it. They're a much better punk band, hardcore band, horror punk, all the things that they kind of went through than they are whatever it is that they are today. I don't necessarily fault them for going in the direction that they went in and kind of becoming what they are. I just wish they had a little more reverence for that time because I think a lot of their fans, a lot of their older fans like myself certainly do. So the highlights of this album, I would say, are Your Friend and Mine. I'll put it up here. It'll be in the subtitles. It's spelled kind of, they're trying to be funny, like most things on here. Checkered Demon is amazing. Open Your Eyes. One that I think so many people go back to just because it's great and it's funny and it's everything that kind of a bratty punk song should be. And it's, I want to get a mohawk, but mom won't let me get one. It's great. Just go listen to it. But it's so funny. The chorus is, I want to ride my skate. I want to stay out late. I want a mohawk. Mom won't let me get one. I want to go to shows. I want to pierce my nose. I want a mohawk. Mom won't let me get one. It's great. So go check it out. Love that song. I would say the only weak part of the album is a song called Cereal Wars, which I'm sure that there are fans out there, and those of you that are watching this there's probably some of you going to be like, fuck you for saying Cereal Wars isn't good. I still listen to it through clenched teeth. It's not like interesting or funny. It's just kind of stupid. Even for a bunch of teenagers, it's pretty stupid. I could laugh if it was written by like 12-year-olds, but I mean, it was, it's just kind of dumb. It doesn't really have any snark or anything funny or interesting to latch onto. It's just kind of there. So to answer the big question that I answer at the end of all these videos, is AFI one of my favorite bands? I would say absolutely yes. I mean, they're tattooed on my body. I have that painting behind me again. Yeah, 100% they're one of my favorite bands. Unfortunately, over the years, they have dropped down the rankings quite a bit because I have serious issues with just about everything that they've done musically since really Sing the Sorrow. Beyond that, really December Underground, I have a lot of problems with. I think it has a lot of issues. But regardless of that, every single album, there's at least a few tracks that I can get into. And I don't think a lot of bands can say that, especially after having such a long career. And so regardless of what they do going forward, I have a ton of love and respect for them. As I said before, their music has meant a lot to me in my life. I think Davey Havok is one of the greatest lead singers of all time. And I think he's proven that with a lot of his other projects. You can look into some of them. There's Extremist, there's Black Audio, there's Dream Car, which is a band that he basically took over from Gwen Stefani and became the lead singer of No Doubt, but they're not No Doubt anymore. They're now Dream Car. Really good stuff there. I think that he's a multi-talented singer, can do a lot of things. I just wish that he would choose to do more of the punk stuff, because I think that's where he shines. So that's it for this one. Thank you again, everybody. I really appreciate you coming and checking this out. If you could please like, share, subscribe. It means a lot to me because, as I always say, this is something that I've always wanted to do. And getting to sit here and talk about music and talk about what these albums mean to me is pretty much a dream come true. So every one of you that's taken the time to watch this, I'm super grateful, and I hope to see you on the next one. All right. Till then.